50 movies in 50 weeks, the Sci-Fi invasion, where I, your host, tries to get through all 50 movies in this Mill Creek box set in 50 weeks. I'm exactly one day late on my Friday deadline, but hey, I'm like nearly halfway through this thing, so being one day late I don't think is that big of a deal yet. I was very sick, and so I watched the movies. I just didn't feel good enough to review them at the time. But it's only one day. I think we're good. Before I really get started on the review, a good friend of mine just released an EP. Here it is. Here's the CD, and I'll put a link in one of the little cards above and in the description. I'm even wearing some of the swag for the EP. I'm not sponsored. He's just a friend of mine. Thought I'd give him a shout out. If you watch it, if you watch the music video and you like it, please leave a comment saying, "Oh, Joey sent me here," and say something nice to him. I'm sure he'd really appreciate that. So the movie we're talking about today is called Welcome to Blood City from 1977. At least that's what it says here on the box set. It feels more like a mid-80s movie, but what do I know? And this is another one of those movies where it just jumps straight into the action. It's just, oh, movie started. No need to fade in. Movie started. Here we go. And it's very jarring because it starts off with a traffic jam. There's a guy sleeping, and then boom, suddenly they're in the desert. There's a handful of people there, and they all have no memory of where they came from. They're just suddenly here. It's very Twilight Zone. Actually, what it reminds me a lot of is a bit of Riverworld mixed with what did I say? I remember it reminded me of something. That's right. It reminds me a bit of Riverworld and Planet of the Apes. They're not in the sense that they're like ape people running around and capturing them, but if you make the apes humans that are cowboys, that's what this movie feels like. It's like they went into cowboy world. But it's also got a bit of the Cabin in the Woods vibe, where there are people watching them and like testing them, but also they're in like a matrix. So it's a big mosh posh of ideas and things that I don't think necessarily work together. It does seem like a TV movie that has just, it seems like they just had a cowboy set and cowboy clothes and they're like, quick, we need to make a science fiction movie. Here we go. The one saving grace of this film that really saves it from mediocrity is the presence of Jack Palance. Jack Palance is a powerhouse of an actor, and he can turn water into wine acting-wise. He is the best thing in this movie. He actually has a line in it that maybe on its own, said by a lesser actor, might not sound as cool, but the way he says it's just amazing. I wrote it down. It's near the end of the movie, but let me see. Someone says, "Would you shoot a man in the back?" And he goes, "I shoot him in the back, the front, the side. I'd even shoot him in the Lord's house if I had the mind to." And he says it in that way that only Jack Palance can say it. I mean, it's a pretty neat line, but his delivery of it is awesome. It's like that one line makes the movie for me. There are interesting things about it, but it's not a good movie in the sense that like, oh, I'm gonna watch this just to be entertained. It's one of those movies you put on with friends, maybe a little bit of alcohol, but it has a lot of interesting ideas. It just doesn't do much with them. I think I'm getting ahead of myself. The plot of the movie is these people are hooked up into a matrix. They're being tested, and I was never quite clear what they were being tested for. It's some sort of elite killing squad, I think. I don't understand the correlation between Cowboy Town and Elite Killing Squad, because a lot of these people just seem like normal guys. Like these guys, some of these people in this Matrix seem like they're in their 50s, so I don't know what they would necessarily, I don't know how they would be necessarily useful as an Elite Killing Squad. But that's the basis of the movie, and it does follow a very typical Western when they are in the Western world. And then when they get to reality, when they go back and forth between reality, there's like a scientist who has their own plans, and everything is very just underwhelming. It seems like a 20-minute episode of The Twilight Zone stretched to an hour and a half, and it really suffers because of that. But it is interesting to an extent. The premise is fine enough. It's just a little convoluted. The real saving grace is Jack Palance. I really don't have much to say beyond that. Let me look through my notes. There's a character who looks like Klinger from MASH. He's in the real world testing the cowboys. There's a lot of plot. There's this one woman who's trying to pull the strings of the cowboys. Like there's a goal of the watchers, but this one woman has their own plans, and she doesn't like the protagonist in the movie, so she's constantly trying to screw him over. She's like loading the dice so another player can like surpass our protagonist. The ending is your stereotypical Twilight Zone downer ending. It's a flawed movie. It's a very flawed movie. It had a lot going for it. I just wish it was a more entertaining experience. I didn't realize just how little I had to say about this movie till I actually turned on the camera just now. I thought I'd have more to say. It's just a passable movie. A lot of the movies on here are subpar. They're not good enough to watch on your own. You constantly have to have, like, I think, friends to enjoy some of these, and this is one of them. The only saving grace is Jack Palance, because he's just an amazing actor. He's one of those actors, like I've watched the worst things in the world just because Bruce Campbell was in them, and he was great in them. Jack Palance is the same way. He can make a crappy movie somewhat entertaining. Like that one line I mentioned earlier was the highlight of the movie. He delivered it so well. But I think that's all I have to say for now. If this movie interests you, maybe go out and watch it. At least look up that line. It's near the end of the movie. Jack Palance's amazing line. I shouldn't say the amazing line. His amazing delivery of the line. But that's all I really have to say for now. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Please check out my friend's EP. I'll link to it on the screen and in the description. I'm sure he'd really appreciate that. I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching. I'm Joey Hollywood. Remember, please be kind and rewind.